Okay, so the first one, we're going to set it up. We are going to take m squared minus 7m minus 11. And you are going to divide that by m minus 8. So you just look at the first term, which is m, and what do you multiply that by to get m squared? M. Now remember, you have to distribute or multiply these two together to come up with what goes right there.
Are we allowed to have put some scratch paper?
You may do these on scratch paper. So if I multiply it, you get m squared minus 8m. Now what do you do with those values? You change the signs because we want to subtract them. And if I subtract the negative, it becomes a positive. So now when you group them together, the m squareds cancel. And you end up with 1m. And then you want to bring down your next value, which is negative 11. So what do you take m times to get m? 1. If you take it times m, you get m squared. So I just multiply by 1. So I'm going to add, well, that's going to be a plus 1. So I want to take m minus 8 times 1. And that's going to be what goes in that next row, which is just m minus 8. But what do you do to that number? You subtract it. So I'm going to subtract a negative 8, which means positive 8. So that means change your signs. The m's cancel, and you end up with, you get negative 3. So that becomes minus 3 over m minus 8. You get your answer. Okay, so we're going to move on to another one. Trust me, you'd rather do this worksheet than the IXL. Just ask Jane and Danelle about it. They did the IXLs last year. Okay, so the next one, remember 2, so I'm going across. So you're going to take n squared minus n minus 29. And we are going to divide that by n minus 6. So what do you multiply n by to get n squared? N. N times n is n squared. So you have to take n times n minus 6. What do you get when you multiply those two together? N squared minus 6n. But you want to subtract those. So I subtract n squared and I subtract negative 6n. Minus negative 6n means plus 6n. That's why we say change the signs. So the n squareds cancel. And negative n plus 6n is 5n. Put it in. So you get negative 29. Now what do you multiply n times to get 5n? 5. So you have to take 5 times n minus 6 to get this entry, which is 5n minus 30. But then what do? Subtract it, which means you change the signs, and you end up with 1. plus 1 over n minus 6. Question. Number 3, you have n squared plus 10n plus 18. And we are dividing that by n plus 5. What's the first value that goes up here? N. So I need to take n times n plus 5, which gives you n squared plus 5n. Subtract it, which means change your signs. It was a positive, so I'm subtracting that, so it becomes like a negative 5. So now when you group them together, you end up with 5n. Then bring down 18. So what do you multiply by now? Positive 5. So I need to take 5 times n plus 5, which gives you 5n plus 25. Now we want to subtract those, so that means change your signs. So that positive 25 now becomes negative 25. And what is 18 minus 25? Negative 7. So it becomes negative 7 over n plus 5. So if that second term is negative, it becomes positive. If it's positive, it becomes negative. Now I want to show you something with the next one. The next one's just a little bit different yet. Questions on 3? Let's look at 4. Number 4 says you're taking k squared minus 7k plus 10. This one's different because you have a minus sign in here that's going to play an important role with a value up at the top. And then you're dividing that by k minus 1. So what's the first thing you multiply by? K. So you take k times k plus, or minus, sorry, k minus 1. What does that give you? K squared minus 1k. But what do? You change your signs, and you add a k, and when you group your k's together, what do you get? Negative 6k. And then bring down your 10. Now here's where you got to be careful. Because what do you multiply k by to get negative 6k? Negative 6. You want that same value and then subtract it. So I need to take negative 6 times k minus 1, which gives you negative 6k plus 6. You want the same value because then we subtract it. And if you subtract negative 6k, becomes positive 6k. Positive 6 becomes negative 6. Now your 6k's cancel. You want it to be the same value, then negate it. So when you group those together, you end up with 4. So it's plus 4 over k minus 1. See where you get a negative up in the top with that 6. Not always, but I think with most of what Saxon does, you will. On this particular worksheet, yes, you will have a remainder. You would check that which you don't, I'm not requiring that here, but what you would do is you would take k and you would multiply it by this. You would take k minus 1 times each one of those. So you would take k times k minus 1. You would take minus 6 times the k minus 1. And you would take your positive 4 over k minus 1 times k minus 1. So if you check, you get k squared minus k. You multiply the negative 6 through and you get negative 6k plus 6. And then what you're going to find out is that the k minus 1 cancels and you just get plus 4. So you get k squared minus 7k, whoops, and then plus 10, which is what is right there. And that's what you want. You think you got the hang of it?
Yeah.
All right. I'd like you to continue with the worksheet then, please. This is what's due tomorrow.
Do tomorrow?
Due tomorrow. As of right now, the whole thing's due tomorrow. Right now, I've done 4. You've got 16 left. So we'll see.